G'day, ZiggyD here. In this video, I'm going to give you guys the lowdown on what is probably one of the most powerful ways to level up a spellcaster in Path of Exile Awakening. Now, I've been leveling up this new Scion Summon Raging Spirits character. I won't be going Summon Raging Spirits until about level 55. I'm about 48 now, and it's been a very, very smooth leveling process. I even got through the, the end of Act 4 and the Malachi fight without any real problems too. Now, this works well for Templar, Witch, and Scion, though Scion doesn't get the skills herself. She'll either have to mule them, or you'll have to buy them of another player. These skills only cost like one scroll of wisdom and one alteration or one transmute or something, so it's very easy to trade them with other players, or, to give someone the equivalent currency and have them buy it from you from one of their vendors, if they're a friend. So, not too hard to do at all. And what this is the combination of Flame Totem, surprisingly Firestorm, bonus points if you have the Siege microtransaction, and then the two Heralds, Herald of Thunder, Herald of Ice, and added damage such as added cold damage and added lightning damage. Now I am running added lightning damage, added cold damage on Flame Totem, and you do the same thing on Firestorm, though you can eventually substitute out added lightning for faster casting. That works pretty well, and for Firestorm in particular, that gives a nice amount of mobility, which becomes incredibly important in the later parts of Act 4 and more difficult fights, such as the final boss battle. So I'll give you guys a bit of a look here in what is the current zone for me. Gotta watch out for the Glacial Tempest that's going off at the moment. Chamber of Sins level 2, which is, level appropriate for my character at the moment. It's a good leveling zone in Act 2. So essentially what you're going to be doing is you're going to be chucking down your Flame Totem and then cursing a pack, and then you can essentially move on because the Flame Totem is pretty much guaranteed to clear out the pack. Now this is a champ pack and it's still pretty much going to clear that pack out as well, though you can chuck a Firestorm on there for good measure if you're a little unsure if the champ pack or such is going to go down. So this becomes a very efficient leveling setup. So I'm going to pop this just here. I'm going to Flame Dash out of there. You get Flame Dash now as well, which works great with this spec as well. You can actually Flame Dash through packs, chuck a Firestorm on there, and they're usually going to go down as well. The idea of this spec is that you can keep moving. Everything's going to get killed by stuff off screen. Now, you can keep a listen out for any currency drops and stuff like that, and if you need loot, then you can kind of slow it down a little bit to to keep an eye out for any items that are dropping. You can kind of keep an eye out on them on the edge of your screen and make sure that if any good loot is dropping, then you're not going to have any problems there. So you can see the effectiveness of this setup here, even in a level appropriate zone, and it keeps about this speed or faster through pretty much the entire leveling process. This is even pretty good on single target, the stacking of Flame Totem and then Firestorm. Once you essentially stand there and channel a few Firestorms, you can see how they overlap, and because larger targets, the powerful single targets are usually larger, like bosses, they actually get hit by more of the Firestorm falling balls as well, so they end up taking more damage than most other targets. So, super effective leveling setup, and you can see that it's pretty effective even on my character right here now, getting close to the point where I want to transition over to my main build. I'm actually planning on transitioning later than I had originally planned, because I think that stepping to Summon Raging Spirits on this character, even though this is a Summon Raging Spirits character, will actually be less effective at this point than just sticking with Firestorm Flame Totem. And this is post-Flame Totem nerf. Yes, I know I was responsible for the Flame Totem nerf because Rory announced it in my chat and everything. Flame Totem has been nerfed by 20% in the lower levels, and it's still really freaking good, especially when you're using this added damage method, just going added cold damage, added lightning damage, Herald of Ice, and Herald of Thunder. Still super, super effective. And the final point to this is that this is without any damage nodes on the tree. I have no damage, I have no fire damage, I have no elemental damage. I just recently picked up this cast speed node, which is a bit of a damage boost for Flame Totem and helps with the mobility of Firestorm and helps with your single target for Firestorm. You can stack them up a bit. And I did grab this duration cluster for leveling, which is great for Firestorm. But no actual damage nodes. I went through resistances, I got the life wheel, I got, oh, this one he's got, sorry, I lied, 10% elemental damage, sorry, I lied. But as you can see, I just went full survivability, and it still clears very, very fast through normal and cruel difficulty. You're probably going to want to start to transition, around late cruel, I think, into your final build. That's usually about the point where you're going to be transitioning, but I think that this could take you all the way up into 60 and up into endgame on pretty much any build, because if you're going a build like a spellcaster build, then your chances are you're going to be getting some elemental damage or some spell damage or some more cast speed than what I have here, and it will probably scale even better, and you'll be able to switch switch even later. So it depends a little bit on what you're going to be switching into. What you're going to be switching into might be a little bit more effective if you're along the way picking up some nodes that have more impact on what you'll be switching into. But this is just such a super effective leveling setup with such a little investment. Very, very powerful and very, very fun as well. I'm loving that we can use Firestorm now as like such a good leveling skill, because it's a fun skill and it's a fast clearing skill when it is effective. But it was just been so mediocre for so long, and only really the realm of like endgame builds that spec'd very carefully for it. Now you can later switch into Flame Blast from Firestorm if you've leveled with Flame Blast a lot in the past and you're pretty good with it. Then you can switch to Flame Blast a little bit later when you pick it up. And use Firestorm up to that point, but you can honestly just stick with Firestorm, it's going to work just as well. So if you're playing a Templar, and I'm also pretty sure a Witch, then you can buy Flame Totem very early on here from the gem vendor for 1 scroll. As you can see, a lot of these ones here just cost 1 scroll, so super easy to get that. And then you'll get to a quest where you get given the added damages. You can take, you know, one of them like added lightning or added cold, and then you can just buy the other ones, and you can buy added cold and added lightning for either of your skills there. It's very easy to get Flame Totem up and running with this. You just look for a chromatic item. You can find these often in vendors, or they'll often drop. If you're using a loot filter like my filter, your chances are chromatics when they drop are even going to be highlighted, so it's very easy to find. Just find a piece of chromatic armor, and then you can just chuck Flame Totem in the red slot, added lightning in the blue slot, and added cold in the green slot. It's like meant to be. And then for the Firestorm, which you get at level 12, I believe, which is when you enter Mavail's Cavern, I think it's around the same tier as Ice Nova here, then you can get a wand is the easiest way to do that, because that's going to be able to roll 2 blue sockets very easily in a green socket, and chances are you can find one of these in the vendors. Like here's one with the right socket colors but not linked, so you just have to search a little while until you find a linked one, or if you find a linked one you can usually just chuck a chrome or 2 on it until you get a green slot. As for gear for this leveling setup, if you can get a +1 wand or scepter, I ended up going with wands here just because I got lucky and found this life sprig early on and decided to use this because this is a nice leveling weapon. But a scepter is going to be ideal. You're going to look out for like a quartz 20% elemental damage scepter, go for the 3-link, use the +1 fire recipe on it, which is a ruby ring sold with a magic scepter and an alteration to the vendor, gives you a +1 fire scepter back, and you can then use an augmentation on it. And then you can just chuck your Firestorm in there, though if you are using a wand, it's going to be a little easy to get the colors. It's not a big deal either way. It's not hard to get the colors on either of those things. And then you can use, on your offhand one, you can use fire damage, any added spell damage, added cold, added fire, added lightning will work fine, or spell damage will work fine as well as elemental from the scepters itself if you're using scepters. Now you can +1 the Flame Totem if you want. Earlier on it's just easier to get a chromatic piece of gear and chuck the Flame Totem in there, and I've been leveling the entire way without a +1 Flame Totem, just with the added damage and you know, using some added fire damage on this, you know, very low level wand here. I think this is item level 25, and that's been working just fine. So it's not mandatory at all to +1 the Flame Totem if you get, you know, a little bit of added damage on a weapon instead of the +1. And that's pretty much it. This is all very low investment, very easy, very fun to level with, very smooth, and has very little actual gear requirements. Nothing you can't do self-found. So guys, hopefully you found this helpful. If you're leveling up any spellcasters, this should make your experience a lot better. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.